What's happening, everyone? Welcome back and thank you for stopping in. Today we're going to be covering a couple EDC items. One is going to be covering keys and key organization, and then the other is going to be covering some wallets or card storage. What has worked for me in the past, what works for me now, what some stuff that hasn't worked for me, and on both ends of the keys and wallets. I know keys can be a huge issue for a lot of people. There's going to be some people who don't really care, but I would say a lot of people struggle with too much disorganization when it comes to their keys and it just being a big bulky package. And I think a lot of people nowadays, concerning everything, not just wallets and keys and that sort of thing, have tried to really minimize what they're carrying on them so that way they can actually maybe add some other useful things to what they carry, and kind of ridding out some of the things that don't work or aren't completely necessary and refilling those areas where you can put some necessary things or some necessity type things. So we will go ahead and start off with the wallets, and we'll talk about some things that has worked for me in the past and things I've transitioned to. And if you like this sort of content, guys, and you are not subscribed down below, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Would love to have you here. Anyone and everyone is welcome here. As long as you are a respectful human being, you are welcomed here, and you will be welcomed by everyone that is a part of this small community. And before you head out, give the video a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. So here are some wallets that I had for many, many years. They are your standard Bifold wallet. Now, for a long time, I carried a Trifold. So there would have been three folds, basically. If you are not familiar with a Trifold, you would have had a center piece here that this would open it into, and there would be three sections. Trifold. This is a bifold, and I went from the trifold to the bifold because I was looking to minimize, the trifold just wasn't necessary anymore. I could keep my ID or license or what have you in this slot, cards here, here, and then, you have money and an organizer in the middle there. And I think this one so much. You can see this has the most wear. These are all three Ralph Lauren polo wallets, leather wallets, good leather. And when I mean a long time, I've probably had these for probably 15 years, 14 to 15 years. I started with this one, and then I believe I went to this guy here, and then I went to this guy, and then I kind of cycled through them, as I wanted black or dark brown, lighter brown. I just cycled through them, and they worked for a long time, and I think they still would, actually. They're very slim and minimal. They're not too wide or long, but after so long, I came to the conclusion that I won't mind having something a little more minimal. And I landed on this. This is not something that is like a name brand, like a Polo or, pick any high-end name brand wallet company. It's not that. It's probably just under that. I can't remember the maker of these, but it is well made. It's not expensive. You do have a clasp here for some cards or some cash, and then you have some slots here for cards, and then you could always put your ID and whatnot here, and then there was another slot here in the middle for you could put some money or what have you there in the middle. And comparably, a lot more minimal than even a smaller bifold wallet. Very, the length is similar, but the width is shorter and the depth is definitely shorter. Now, this and this are both completely empty, and you can see there that this wallet is by far skinnier and smaller, and you can fit very close to the same amount, with the exception of a few cards and a few bills. But I would say most people, if they check their wallets, they have several cards or so on that are just not needed in your wallet. And that's what I found as I went on. I had a lot of useless stuff in my wallet. And the more and more I've went more minimal, you find that there are certain things that you just don't need to have with you all the time. Now, I have thought about designating this for a card and maybe some, $20-$30 in cash, and kind of putting this in my truck. Cards and whatnot, like Sheets or the grocery store, any gas station, whatever. Putting those cards in here, and maybe some cash for emergencies, and putting this in the truck, because this would be a pretty useful thing. So maybe a scenario like that. But we'll go ahead and move to what I switched to a couple years back, and I pretty much never looked back. This is the American-made TRAYVAX wallet. Now, this is some sort of aluminum or metal. Both sides. You have a clip back here for some cash, and you can fit quite a bit of bills in there. I only got 3 or 4 in there right now, but you can fit quite a few bills in there, enough, especially in this day and age where 90% of the time you're going to be using a card anyway. But there you can see I have at least a dozen to 15 cards in there, and you can extend this. You can fit a bunch of cards in here if you would like. As much as this paracord, will go in, you can extend this. That's basically how it works. You would feed the rest of this slack through the wallet and pull this up, and then you can fit quite a bit more cards in there. At one time, I did have more cards in here, but then I found, more and more, and I think there's some stuff in here now that I don't need to have in there. So I'm going to have to go through that and kind of get rid of some of that stuff. At this point in my life, I'm fairly OCD about, keeping things very organized and not having things I don't need. But the conclusion I've come to is I've had this for years, several years at this point. I want to say going on 3, if not 4 years. I think 3 though. This is so well made. There is RFID blockers, however they do that. I'm not 100% sure, but there is RFID blocking in here. If you have the tap or what have you, you will be fine with this wallet. Never had any issues of that nature. And going back to, we'll snag these. Now, this wallet is going to be, if you fill this up, say with 6, 7, so like maybe 6 cards here, your ID, and maybe another card behind here, and then you put some cash in here, this is going to start widening up, and it's going to be close to this. And very, these can hold quite a bit more as far as if you really want to stretch it and kind of get ridiculous with how much you put in there. But this is going to be even smaller of a, width and length. And like I said, if I put this stuff in here, this is going to widen up. but you know, it's a lot smaller of a profile. It's smaller than the width of your bills, just slightly, like a 16th on each side. So that kind of shows you the actual width of this guy. If you want to get real crazy, you know, you're at like 2.5 inches wide, which is pretty minimal. And then you're at a little over, well, to these tips here, you're at like 4 inches, which still, you know, this one is 4.5. This one is 4.5. So, you know, you're gaining some space in your pocket. So much so that you could comfortably put this in your front pocket and it not be a big deal. And this holds exactly what I need it to. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's useful. You know, you do have some metal on both sides. You have some paracord that runs through here. I think a little over a foot maybe of paracord total here. So there's another useful piece of this. And you can attach like you could attach your keys to this, like a quick, you know, if you're trying to keep everything in one spot, you know, you're in maybe a bad part of town or whatever, and you want everything together in your front pocket, or just, you know, whatever. But there's a clasp for whatever you could want to clasp there. But the TRAYVAX wallet is definitely something worth looking into. They have a bunch of different models and they are all priced differently. I think this one falls somewhere in the middle. And you have to remember, this is an American-made product. I want to say they start at maybe 40 to 50 and they go up to like $100, say. Somewhere in that nature. They might be a little more now as they've upgraded materials. Like I said, this is a couple years old, but they do have this still. I think it's called the original or something, or the original 2.0. But very well done, very well made, and I see this lasting the rest of my life. And at the point of maybe, say, the paracord ripping or something, which there's no sign of this cord ripped, torn, anything. So I could replace it and it would be easy to do. I could easily replace it and I'm back in business. You basically just rerun everything, slide this on and tie a knot off after you run it through and you're back in business. So, or if an emergency arose and you needed some cordage, you'd have it right there, you know. So TRAYVAX wallet for the win. You know, in my case. And we'll move on to the keys and kind of breeze through them. So I set up my keys two ways. I do use a KEYBAR. This is their micarta KEYBAR. This is the bigger size. They have a smaller size as well. And I use this for quite a long time. And I still do switch back and forth. The only thing that I need to do, this has my truck keys, my cap keys for my truck. I do have a flathead screwdriver in there, and then there's a padlock key that I need with me. And then here is a lanyard hoop, and that hoop is there for this. I can pop this off of here, and I do have an extra one of these, so I could just easily put that on there. But pop this off and then attach it to here, and I'm good to switch back and forth. Now, I love this, and it works very well. I have it set up pretty minimally at this point. I think I would actually need to add one key here for this to be complete, along with my fob. So I would need to put a key back in there. But then I could run with this no problem. And I've been thinking about switching back. But the way that I've been going lately is, so a nice leather lanyard here with a nice brass clasp. and that is how I've been running my keys. So I do have my truck key, my cap key, my house key, and then I have 2 padlock keys over here on this hoop, 2 lock keys, padlocks, and then my garage key. And then I have my fob. So the way I'm able to keep this pretty minimal and the way I like it is if I'm going anywhere, I can use this to start my truck, drive my truck, and when I get where I'm going, I can literally just pop this off, keep these in my truck, and then just lock my truck up, have my fob with me, and I'm good to go. And that's one reason why I really like this setup. And it's also easy. This is a KEYBAR item. This magnet, rare earth magnet, is also KEYBAR's. And then this is a homemade leather lanyard and brass clasp that I bought. But very minimal. I can easily pop this on and off if I want to keep everything with me, but I don't need these. And if I just want to keep everything together, as I said, boom, keep these in the truck, take this with me. And the same can be said for this. I can easily hook the magnets back up here. Boom, I can start my truck. I have my cap key. I would need to put my other house key in here, and I'm basically good to go doing the same thing. And I got a pocket clip here if I want to keep this whole contraption with me. And this you can hang from your belt loop or whatever. I tend to kind of fold these, and since it's winter, I will just kind of put them in my one pocket in my coat, and then I forget about them. But if I don't do that, I'll pop this off and I will just throw this in a pocket of some sort, usually in my coat since it's winter. But since we are going to summertime, I've been thinking about switching over to this and, you know, kind of putting this away until wintertime. But I have found I like both ways and they both work for me. Now this is a little more of a loosey-goosey, bulky thing. But as I said, guys, I'm not going to be walking around, you know, if I go to a store or out to eat or what have you. I'm not taking all these with me. I'm leaving these, locking them in my truck, and I'm taking my key fob. So this leather lanyard works well for me. If you must keep your keys with you, you know, you live in a bad area or you have some keys on here that you use throughout your daily day, you know, at work or what have you, this is even better because it keeps everything nice and, you know, minimal all together. There's no jiggly. You know, obviously this will jiggle if I wiggle it, but I usually fold this up and, you know, tuck it in the pocket like that, and you're good to go. And then you would have your key fob also hanging down here as well. So both I really like, and there are some other contraptions I won't mind checking out as well. I've heard time and time again though the KEYBAR is just better. Better made, you know, better accessories than some of the other ones that are out there, and I would have to agree that it probably is. But some of them are cheap enough that I won't mind checking one other one out just to have an idea. But there you go, guys. That is my wallet and keys setup. Hopefully that helps somebody out somewhere along the way. I love y'all. If you hung out through the whole video, give a thumbs up. And if you're still here and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. Love y'all, and I will catch you on the next one.